Yes. Is that even possible? Turn to Proverbs. Chapter 16, verse 31, or it will be on the screen. Proverbs 16, verse 31. The hoary head is a crown of glory if it be found in the way of righteousness. Just, in fact, yesterday, I had another part in a memorial service for a fellow that I have known long time. In fact, I've been a part of two in just the last few weeks. And interestingly enough, these guys were actually neighbors. Now, one of them had moved away and bought another home. But I guess it was just another reminder to me of the fact that I'm getting older. I'm standing and doing memorial services for guys that are just a little older than I am, that I have known for years. And it is a reminder to me that I have certainly entered into the twilight years. Or if you live in Hampton, the twilight zone. Either one. So we're going to talk tonight about how to grow old gracefully. Now, doing something gracefully is a little different for me, a little difficult. Because I am about as agile and graceful as a bull in a china shop. I hope I don't speak a word of prophecy, and some of it's my back problems, but every time we do the Lord's Supper, this comes through my mind. Because I'm up on stage and going down serving the guys and come back here, and I'm carrying this stuff and I'm saying, I'm just going to drop every bit of this at some time, and it's just going to go everywhere. So if I do that, you all don't act too surprised, will you? I kind of warned you. I am not real graceful. No. And I don't know whether it's my skin is so thin or what. All I have to do is touch something. My wife and I went to the funeral yesterday, and I looked down, had my shirt on, had blood all over it. I just touched something. Don't even know what it was. But the reminder to me was, we're getting along in years. Now, the text is a little hard to understand if you have a more modern translation. It may take care of it for you, especially that hoary head. What is that? Actually, it's an Old English term, and it describes aging. The words hoary head mean silver or gray-haired head. Yeah. So it's referring to old age. So we're going to talk about that tonight. 3 things about aging. We'll begin with the process. There is a process. Exactly what is aging? I love the way one fellow described it. He said it's when your knees buckle, but your belt won't. I thought, yeah. Solomon goes on to eloquently describe aging. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 3. The keepers of the house shall tremble. What does that mean? It means the arms begin to shake. We mirror the picture of that of someone who has Parkinson's or something like that. And they tremble. They shake. Now, Parkinson's is a physical disorder. But even among the elderly, you see a lot of that. The keepers of the house shall tremble. The strong men shall bow themselves. I had to look these up to really find out what he was saying. You know what the reference means? It means to those who are stooped shoulders. That comes with aging. The shoulders begin to stoop. The arms begin to hang down. The grinders, and you won't need a lot of explanation on this one, the grinders cease because they are few. Your teeth fall out. And if just a few of them fall out, you get you a partial. If they all fall out, you just get you some dentures. Or you do like my father-in-law. Love him. He could see no value whatsoever in buying teeth. He had a house full of kids to feed. Ate anything he wanted to. The man would eat corn on a cob. Ask my wife, she'll tell you. He had gummed things so long, they were tough. The grinders cease because they are few. Some of you get a kick out of this. Those that look out the windows be darkened. The eyesight gets weak. Begins to deteriorate. My optometrist blessed me with the revelation on my last trip that you have cataracts, young man. So I'll be looking at that, Lord's will. Word of wisdom, especially to you young folk. This comes out of experience. When you see these people up here doing this, don't laugh at them. Because if you get up to your 40s and 50s, it'll come back and bite you. I made the mistake of saying, I'm 3 rows up here, you want me to hold that for you? It wasn't long till I was in the same shape, only worse. It's become a real struggle for me. I found out that you can only make fonts so big because it takes up too many sheets of paper. You just squint and go right on. Now, if that one didn't make you. Grin. This one certainly will be in regard to me. Verse 4. The doors shall be shut in the streets. The hearing, gone. Just a little word, most of you already know it. If someone, particularly who is soft-spoken, makes a prayer request, and you see me going, yeah, I don't have a clue what they're saying. Just so you all know it, okay? I know I'm telling you something that you already know. I don't have a clue. I'm just hoping and praying that they don't say something so wonderful and something so exciting, and I'll say, well, God bless you, we'll be praying. Or just the opposite. That could be even worse. The assessment of life. The process of aging. It's tough. Now we balance that with the fact that when you consider the alternative, it's not bad, right? We'll go right on. But there is a process. Second, let's look at the pleasantries. Can getting old be associated with something pleasant? Believe it or not, there's actually good things about growing old. The Bible refers to long years as a reward from God. When you look in the paper and see someone who has passed away and they're living well up into their 90s, approaching 100 years old or beyond, that person has received a great reward from God. As I said a moment ago, especially when you balance that with the fact that the alternative is death. America's getting older. You realize that? Because of so many great strides we have made medically, the life expectancy continues to rise. I picked up a couple of things. In 1900, 1 in 25 people in America were seniors. 1 in 25. You know what that number is now? 1 in 10. That translates to over 30 million people who are considered seniors. Just in these few hundred years. America's getting older and older. And we're going to talk about seniorhood more in the last point. But now, we just relish the fact that people are with us a lot longer than they used to be. I couldn't help but think, for virtually anybody that dies in this day and time, we've got a name for him. All of my life I heard when I was a boy, people dying. And I can remember people say, what did they die for? Just old age. Y'all heard that? Just old age. I've heard that all my life. And I'm not saying that they didn't have a medical ideal, but I guess as far as people were concerned, if you're gone, you're gone. They just died of old age. You know what the old age might have been when I was a boy? Mid-50s, 60. You live to be your mid-50s or 60s. You was considered an old person. You really were. You didn't see as much of people living, the numbers, staggering numbers of people living in their 80s and 90s and 100 as it is now. So those are pleasantries. Well, we've looked at the process. It's encouraging. You begin to shake. You get the shakes. Your shoulders bow down. You're stooped over. You can't see anymore. You can't hear anymore. Your teeth fall out. If I ever did a sermon on this, I would be so depressed when I got through. I don't think I could make it. Well, let's look at the last one. I called it the possibilities of aging. I want to close by looking at 3 prospects that old age offers. Number 1, there's an opportunity for us to minister to those who are aged. We are blessed in our church to have some incredible people. Some people who are well beyond me as far as the twilight of life is concerned. You know, I looked back there this morning, I saw Houston and Betty. Both of them very frail. Both. Still doing everything they can to take care of each other. God bless them with a wonderful family. Big family that watches out after mom and dad. They do. But they're both very, very frail. Both in need of our prayers. And the list goes on and on. Betty Eric, Betty Joe. On and on and on. Wayne Birchfield. All these people. Seriously. We're blessed with some incredible people. And we have an opportunity to minister to them. And I'm fearful sometimes, and I really don't think that it's the case in our church. I'm not trying to usurp us to some place beyond where we should be, but I don't think this is the case in our church. I think we have a fellowship. And if we're not reaching out and trying to help any of our seniors, it's probably because we don't know anything about it. That's not the case all the time. The seniors at times just seem to get forgotten. We talk about our young people and God bless them. We acknowledge them to be the future as far as the church is concerned. But we must balance that. So much of what we enjoy this day is because of the sacrifice that our seniors have made. We have an opportunity to reach out and to help them in any way we can. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a privilege that we should never devoid ourselves of. Second, senior adults can provide some great leadership. Here's another area that I think we suffer in at times. I saw a sad statement recently. only 6% of seniors are in leadership positions. Now, if you have a senior who has been in a place of leadership and they make the choice to step back because of physical limitations or whatever, that's one thing. If they've taught Sunday school for years and years and years and don't really feel comfortable doing that now, and they make that choice, that's great. They have served God. But I think so many times we just pass them off and forget that some of the greatest wisdom that we could ever afford ourselves is in our senior adults. I can tell you unreservedly that if I had something that I thought really required a lot of wisdom, I would think nothing whatsoever about going down the road and going up to Houston's. I mean that. I don't know how much formal education Houston had. I do know he is a man of wisdom. And I would think nothing whatsoever about going and sitting down and say, buddy, I need some input. Let me lay you out the situation, the scenario. And I know that he would give me the best God-given assessment that he received. And I'm afraid we miss that sometimes by not taking advantage of it. And try to put yourself in their position. How do you think it makes them feel? Number 3. Some of the greatest achievements of life can take place in senior adult years. Moses, called of God, go, tell Pharaoh. I just used this in Bible study. Go tell Pharaoh, I've heard the cries of my people, let them go. Remember, that's when we did the I ams. Now, Moses was a little reserved about that, but he answered God's call. And he began the process of leading over 3 million Jews out of Egyptian bondage. By the way, you know how old he was when he did that? When he started, he was 80 years old. When he started, we think of him as some young, strapping guy going into the Pharaoh, filling his oats. He's 80 years old. It's phenomenal. Caleb. What an Old Testament figure he was. He saw the good. He didn't see giants. He saw God. He goes into the promised land. He's fighting those giants. Literally, physically, they are giants. He's fighting them. You know how old this young buck snort is? 85 years old. With a sword. Fighting. Because God told them to pursue and take the land. Phenomenal. Abraham, the father of the faithful, fathered many children. And he fathered maybe one of the greatest children that was ever born apart from the Lord Jesus Christ. Get this, guys. You know how old Abraham was when he fathered this child? 100 years old. The only thing I can say is, what a man. What a man. 100 years old. Now, you know there's some intervention of God here. You understand that. Here's the point. There is usefulness. Even after we get to a point where we think, I'm done, I'm used up. No. If we have a heart and we have a willingness, God can always use us. Always. Another subtle reminder to me. There's no stopping place. Except when we come to the ultimate stopping place, and that's death. But it is a reminder to me that I'm advancing along. You know what? I just want to be faithful all the way through. Someone coined the phrase many years ago, taken no doubt from the words in which Paul said, I've finished my course. I want to finish well. I hope and trust that you feel the same way. Let's stand. If you'd like to talk with me.